All right. Welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show. Paul Hickey here with nooffseason.com, and I am joined with a special guest co-host of the show today, Kendall McKee from Wild Cards, Box Breaks, and justbaseball.com. And we're going to talk a lot of baseball today. We're going to talk about new Bowman stuff. We're going to do some Bowman for Dummies because there's a lot of different releases. We may or may not hit on some vintage baseball and some NFTs. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor of the show, marketmoversapp.com by Sports Card Investor. We want you to go there and save 20% by entering in the promo code NOOFFSEASON, all lowercase, save 20% at Market Movers. And of course, to pair that with our sports card investment report is a great idea. Go to nooffseason.com/invest to check that out. I just finished the top 51 write-ups, Kendall. I just finished 51 write-ups and ranked them all. And now it's just going to be updating them weekly, maybe even daily, so that people get the most up-to-date information. But
yeah, now the tedious
good to have
work
you on, my man.
Dude, I'm so happy here. It's Monday here in early morning Monday in the States here, and ready to get the week rolling with some cards. So just hit me with whatever. I'm so amped to talk about several of these things. So you set the ball rolling and I'll just go.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's talk Bowman draft release because that came out on December 30th. And there was a lull in the card market in December. We all saw it. We all felt it. Maybe not as much in baseball, but definitely in basketball. And Bowman draft is a huge release. And what I want to know are a few things. Let's start, though, with just the simple overview of the Bowman draft release. Tell us the significance of that. Why is it so important? And why should people definitely be paying attention to the Bowman draft release, not only this year, but just every year?
Sure. Well, I think to preface that, I've got to go to just a small bit into Bowman for Dummies. We can hit the rest of that later. But specifically, Bowman specializes in the first licensed card of a minor leaguer or a potential prospect or something like that. And so particularly in baseball, and I know we've referenced this a little bit, but it's a lot of prospecting in baseball. The big guys do get traded, but that's kind of for more like long-term investing or collector specific. A lot of flippers are in the prospect world. And so Bowman draft typically is the highest valued prospects that are coming in to the product every single year, because it's their first card after the first year player draft that happens in the summer every year. So they've just changed it to where it's now it's in the All-Star break weekend. So for instance, when your team drafts and from like 1 to 7, some of those players are going to get first Bowman cards in that next cycle of that first draft box. So for instance, in 2020 specifically, so 2020 draft, which came out a year ago in December, that had all first round prospects had an auto in the package. I think everyone but one, I think actually, had an auto in the Bowman draft series. And so typically what you look forward to is that all of your guys, you're going to get their first licensed autograph. So for instance, I'm a big Jordan Lawler guy. And I'll kind of go to that in a little bit, but he was drafted by the Diamondbacks in the 6th pick this year. So this would be his first licensed product. Now I have some unlicensed Jordan Lawler autographs from his USA team stuff that he did and some Panini has launched some USA stuff. And so I got an out of 199 autograph from him for like $85. So that was his USA jersey, and so it's a rookie patch auto. Actually, it's RPA, which Bowman doesn't do RPAs, but so that was about $80. I ended up pulling a Jordan Lawler out of, and this I'm skipping ahead here, but I ended up pulling a Jordan Lawler first Bowman out of 499 auto, and that's worth almost $700. So there's a very much difference in between the unlicensed and licensed product, and I'm sure you've been aware of that being in cards. But for our listeners that are a little bit new to the game, the unlicensed and licensed product difference is astronomical. And the Bowman is definitely the card in baseball that you're looking for. Topps Chrome definitely would be second, I would say, but that Bowman Chrome Auto is what you are looking for. First edition Bowman Chrome Auto is definitely what you want.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, we'll bounce back and forth between the significance of this year's release and the Bowman for Dummies, because you're right, they definitely go together. So before we get into more questions about this year's release, let's walk through the Bowman for Dummies, right? And what we mean by that is, so Kendall, you're going to take us briefly through, like, in order, with general dates each year. What does Bowman release, and when do they release it, and what are these releases called? Let's start right there, and then we can ask some questions.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. And I'm going to start actually not in the calendar year, but in like the baseball year. So like I'm going to start this in a normal baseball year around February, March. So that's when pitchers and catchers would be reporting. Right about now is when we would start seeing those rosters kind of coming to somewhat of a final. Big free agent signings. Now this season's a little bit different with the MLB lockout, but right now we would starting to have MLB catchers and pitchers reporting to camp. They would start packing the truck. You would start seeing a lot of stuff on social media about how they're getting ready to go to spring training, which is in Florida and Arizona. And the Bowman draft, Bowman, just regular Bowman, by whatever year. So this year would be Bowman 22. Drops typically right about that spring training March-ish time period. And so that is typically the first product of the calendar year in terms of a Bowman product. Now, this set is going to be the one that's the most produced, I would say, because there's a hobby section of this product and a retail section of the 22 Bowman product, or like the regular calendar year Bowman product. So you can actually get blasters of this at Walmart or places like that. And this is kind of the most accessible Bowman product. It's also the widest variety. You're going to get a wide variety of paper. You're also going to get a chrome. There's several inserts in it. So it's kind of the most flagship product they have. So now towards the end of the year, they do have a little bit of an update series that comes out, but towards the end of the year, they have a Bowman Chrome product that comes out where it's only Chrome product. It's in mega boxes. They do technically come out with some different variations of that, but that comes out right around the end of baseball. And the difference in those two products are going to be, they put a lot of hype in the original product, like the Bowman base. We're just gonna call it the Bowman base for now. The Bowman base, they're gonna put a regular section there, but they're going to put guys in there that they think are going to have a good rookie season. So they're gonna put guys in there that maybe have their first card hit this year, and they think they're going to have an explode towards spring training and towards their minor league season, and definitely towards the All-Star break. Now, the Bowman Chrome product specifically, now there's always a couple of guys that explode onto the scene who don't necessarily have any cards. Maybe, now it's very rare nowadays, but maybe don't have a Bowman first product out there. And you're going to have your international signing period happen in the middle of the year. And that Bowman Chrome product is all Chrome cards, so there's no paper. And Bowman Chrome first are going to be really live in that product. But that's typically where your international signing period guys are coming out for the first time. So, for instance, this past year, we saw guys like Luis Rodriguez had a card in the Bowman Chrome series, and those were going nuts for a little bit. Now, typically that international signing period is guys that are like 16, 17 years old. So those guys are super, super young. Guys are paying way too much money for that. I think there was actually a comment about it on our Facebook page there. And I addressed it a little bit by saying it's a guy that you could invest in if you super, super like him. But there's definitely some guys that are more proven. And that's something we're going to address here later in the podcast. But there's guys that are more proven and have been a little more tested in the minor leagues that you could pull later. But that Chrome product definitely has some guys that have burst onto the scene in the season that they didn't expect, and they maybe put some more products in there. For instance, like Yerman Mercedes came out of nowhere last year. Adolis Garcia came out of nowhere last year. Like there was just a couple of guys that they didn't expect to explode. So those guys get in that later product. Now, the last product of the calendar year is Bowman Draft. And that, like we've said earlier, that follows the draft class that comes in. So as soon as that class gets drafted and all those people get signed, those guys go into licensing. They get their first jersey, so that they're usually like in the complex league, or they have that first appearance as a major leaguer, maybe in that short season rookie ball later in that year. And those jerseys are going to be the first time that they're going to be on a card in the jersey of their team that drafted them and things like that. And those cards go for stupid money. And those are only in a hobby product. That is not a retail product. So you can't go buy draft at Walmart. And it specifically comes in, I think the smallest is like is what's called a light box this year. And you're definitely auto hunting here. This is definitely for the guy who knows baseball, I guess, if that makes sense. So the retail investor, or the guy that's just marginally invested in baseball, typically doesn't get into a draft product because they are not necessarily aware, unless you're listening to this kind of podcast where I can tell you who you need to go get. You're typically not aware of those guys before they hit the Bowman 22 or the Bowman base product. Typically that's when people are first hearing about, the mass public is first hearing about certain players. But if you can get in early in those draft products, or way, way early in those international products at a good price, then you're definitely going to reap some rewards there.
Okay, this is awesome stuff, and I've got a ton of questions for you.
Yeah, that was a long monologue there. So
no, that was good. I mean, I think simply put, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've got 3 releases, right? You've got the Bowman base, which I know technically it's not called that, but let's just call it that because I think that resonates with most people. It's like it's a full set.
It's
right?
The most entry level
that comes out in February. Okay, and so does that one is it only prospects like this? Now this is kind of a Bowman for Dummies question. Like, is it only minor league prospects?
No, this one's that Bowman base product is going to have the most variety, I'd say. There's not Now what Bowman doesn't do is Bowman doesn't do any legacy cards. Like they don't put in guys that are Hall of Famers, or I mean they might every once in a while. And I just can't think of a situation where you have, like, there's been situations where I open up a Topps product and I'll find like a Mickey Mantle remake or something like that. That's not something that Bowman does. Like Bowman only does current players. But you can find things like numbered and autographed cards from non-prospects. They're not as necessarily as valuable as their Bowman first signatures or their Bowman first chromes or numbered or however you want to do that. But they are in there, yeah. So Bowman doesn't only do prospects, but that is definitely where the money is made in Bowman. So,
okay, I did not know that actually. So that's good. That's good to know. Now in the second release, the Bowman Chrome release later on, now that is going to include some Bowman firsts, right? And are those going to be the players that were not technically drafted, but they're the international signings? So there's rookies in there. And we'll get to the definitions and stuff like that in a second. But basically, you've got is the Chrome set Chrome versions of the same cards that were in the previous release a few months earlier, plus some firsts because you've got new players in the way of international signings in there, and you've got some autos. So that's kind of how they make it more appealing, in addition to the fact that it's a Chrome like card stock.
Yeah, so the Bowman base product, typically how the packs go is you have Okay, so the Bowman base product, let's just say it has like about 20 cards per pack, like per individual, like um sleeve section. You know what I'm talking about? Like that's press
Mhm.
sealed together. So let's say like the first 6 cards are going to be your Bowman base paper products uh of of major leaguers that have been around, so veterans. So those first 6
Okay.
products, you're going to have like, you could find like Joey Gallo, Tatis, something like that in there, and they're not necessarily worth a lot, but they're going to be names you know. Then in the middle of that product, you're going to find Bowman Chrome cards. So there are Chrome cards in the Bowman
Okay.
base section, but there's just like 2 to 4 in there, and that's where you're going to find potentially numbered cards. You are potentially going to find an insert in there, or you could get lucky and find an auto in that Chrome section. Now there are paper autos as well in the Bowman base product, but the ones that like are the most common are those Chrome cards autoed right in the middle. And then after those Chrome cards, you're actually going to have 4 more paper products, but those are going to be rookies or prospects in the back. So you're going to find paper firsts is what they're called, paper first, which is like, it's the same Bowman like first product you're looking for, but it's the paper product. Now let's fast forward to the Bowman Chrome that you asked about. That Bowman Chrome section, the way the box opens, like the mega box, is you're going to have about 8 to 10 packs of just Chrome cards. Like it's just going to be Chrome rookies, Chrome first, stuff like that. And then you're actually going to have 2 packs of what I think they're called. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but I call them Mojo packs. So they're going to have Chrome Mojos in them, and that's where your autos and your firsts and your crazy stuff's going to come from. So you actually have base cards in Topps Chrome or in Bowman Chrome, but they're still more valuable than the paper product, that because it's all Chrome paper stock that you are getting there. But then there's the Chrome Mojos, which are a little, they have like a little design on them. They're a little more valuable. That's where your numbered and your autos products are going to come from. But typically the Bowman Chrome product in later in the last half of the season, that is going to be where you're either going to have guys that have kind of come on the scene this year, or international signings are going to be the cards that are differentiated there. But that product will also be packed with MLB veterans as well. So that the base cards
Okay.
in all of the Bowman sets are, well, except for draft, are products that you're going to have veterans in there. So, you could find like like I said, like a Tatis or an Arenado or something like that in that product, in either the base and the Chrome. But it's just going to be, maybe their 5th or 6th or 7th year product that's not super valuable, but could be really valuable to the team collector or something like that. Like maybe a guy that only collects, they only collect, man, I'm blanking on literally everyone. A Rosarena. Let's just say somebody only collects Randy Arozarena. He is going to have a card in the Bowman base product and in the Bowman Chrome product, but it's just not going to be as valuable as some of the first that you're chasing in that product. So like if you are buying into breaks, that's where you're going to see that price differentiation go way up. So the top few teams in a break product, if you see your pricing different on breaks, so if you're like, why is my team $10, but the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are horrible, are $200? That's because the cards in that Diamondbacks, for instance, in this draft set, Jordan Lawler is a very expensive card, and his cards are going to come out. And the Texas Rangers don't really have anybody in the Bowman draft. There's a caveat there because they did draft Jack Leiter, but he actually didn't release a card in draft 21. So.
Okay, so yeah, this is good. All right, so let me try to pick this apart. So let's start with the last thing you just said, because that was a question I had earlier. I've heard that the second overall pick doesn't have an auto in the Bowman draft release. Is that true every year?
I think it started as like a I'm not 100% sure where that started. I'd probably have to do some history lesson on that. But yes, typically the second overall pick doesn't actually have a auto in the draft product typically. Now, and I'm not sure if that, like, maybe some way back there was like a guy that was like, my auto is not going to be worth nearly as much because so and so was drafted first, and they were like, I'm not going to put an auto in this product so because it's going to be significantly discounted, or so, I don't know if it happened something like that somewhere. And so Bowman decided to release that in the next product so that his card would be the most valuable in the next product or something. I'm not sure exactly how it started. That would be my hunch. But Jack Leiter,
But
my
that's
team,
why Jack Leiter doesn't have. It's not just randomly Jack Leiter. It's because he's the second overall pick, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
now sometimes it doesn't happen. I think there has been years where it doesn't happen. So for instance, I think in 2020 the second overall pick did have an auto in draft. So I think it's not
Okay.
I don't think it's I think it's kind of like an unspoken rule type thing. But
Okay.
I could be wrong on that. I'm not a super versed on that specific, but I do know of the second spot specifically this year because Texas is my team, and so when I see Jack Leiter and I want to go and get the Rangers in my product, I want to get if I'm going into drafts, I want my team, right? And then I get in there and I'm like, there's nobody I really want. I mean, there are some good Rangers in this draft product, but I have not personally bought a Rangers section in a draft product because I'm holding out for 22 Bowman that's going to have Jack Leiter's first auto in it.
Okay, that makes sense. So now I don't know the composition of our listener base well enough yet to say that everyone's tracking with this or that, this is new to everyone. But I think so far it makes sense that, okay, there's 3 releases. You've done a good job breaking them down. Now, I think we can say that we all understand why the prospect cards are worth the most. It's because, these are their essentially, if you collect other sports, the concept of the first rookie card in a pro uniform. The prospect card in baseball equates to basically the first rookie card in a pro uniform, even though they're not necessarily called rookie cards, they're called different things. So break down maybe the different things that these are called. And I want to start with like a specific question. So I see Bowman cards that have first, like literally the number 1 ST first Bowman on them. Can you just tell us what is the significance of that first Bowman icon on the card? And in what sets can you find those? And I guess the third question all packed into the same question is, in the draft product that gets released, do they all say first Bowman in the draft product?
Yeah, so this is something that I actually didn't learn early on and made some pretty large investments without knowing this and kind of screwed myself over. So this is something that I'm really big on educating. And let me grab 2 examples really quickly. But as I talk here, the top right or top left corner, depending on the year, has a first logo in the corner if it's his first licensed card. So for instance, this Jordan Lawler, let me see. This one stands out pretty good. So this is a Griffin Conine. Sorry, I've got the fuzz on. See the top left corner there or top right corner, whichever one it is for you, that little one in the corner. So that is a Bowman first. So that anytime you see that 1 in the corner, it'll say first Bowman. That is when you know that is the first licensed card of that particular player. Now you're going to have other you're going to have other cards in products that aren't Bowman firsts. Let me find an example of that as well. Okay, let me do.
That may be their first card, right? Like you may have. Okay, you may have someone's first card, but it doesn't say first for some reason.
There actually are some of those. Some of the autos don't say first on them, which is sometimes a mess up between Bowman. Like they don't print it and it would be his first auto, but it doesn't necessarily say first on it. There are a couple of caveats on that, but for the most part, you'll see this first in the corner here. So this is Brennan Davis, Chicago Cubs prospect. By the way, very big on Brennan Davis this year. I think he's going to be absolutely huge. So if he's a little bit high now, but if you're going to invest in anybody, try this one. So here's a Bowman Chrome of Brennan Davis, but this is his second year card. So you'll see a little bit of a difference, but in that top corner, it doesn't say first. So this is a Bowman
that's 2019,
Chrome.
Right? So the first one was 2018, and that one's
this is actually a 2021. So this is several years later. But
okay.
So this
brings up another talking point, but I'll let you keep going.
So this is 2018 Brennan Davis. Obviously, look how skinny he is. He's like 15 years old there. And then you have a 2021 Brennan Davis, also still looking skinny. He's not as skinny as he used to be. But you're missing that first in the corner. So what I didn't know when I first started investing is I would just be like, okay, I like Brennan Davis. I'm going to go buy any Brennan Davis card. Oh, look, here's one for $1 and it's a chrome. Yeah, that's a steal. And then what I didn't know was those second, third, fourth, whatever years, those are almost impossible to move, almost. Unless you're selling them to somebody who is a collector or doesn't know what they're doing the way that you bought them the first time.
I can see. I mean, I think that's important. I just want to chime in on that because, and that answers one of my questions is like, is there any value to any of those? And funny enough, I think from what I've seen on Brennan Davis in particular, I believe his 2018 Bowman card, which happens to be his first, actually uses the exact same action shot as his 2020 Bowman, which is not his first. And the only way to tell the difference is
that one.
A, the fact that it says first on it, and B, the design of how of the nameplate down at the bottom. So I kind of came across the same thing you're talking about in my investing into Bowman this past summer, was the first time I really got into investing into baseball cards. And I would go on Star Stock because I would want to make sure that I would get the Star Stock A of the guy. And I just got confused and I'm like, okay, well, here's a bunch of Brennan Davis cards for like 25 cents that are Star Stock A's. And it's the same action shot. And so I had to like 2020, 2018. So it can be actually really dangerous. You can definitely spend money in the wrong place with this. So definitely you want to, if you don't know what you're doing, but you know baseball well enough to know you want to get into it, but you're not like, you haven't actually invested in baseball cards before, you really need to look for that first icon, I think, because that's essentially the equivalent of seeing like the RC or the rookie card logo on a basketball or a football card.
And there are RC logos in Bowman as well. And their first rookie does have more value than their second or third, fourth year minor league card. So for instance, that Brennan Davis 21 right there, that's just a card that I like. I just like Brennan Davis, so I collect Brennan Davis. So anything that comes across a Brennan Davis, I throw it in there. So, but there is going to be a Brennan Davis rookie card as well that's going to have an RC logo next to it. And that is going to hold not a substantial value difference, but a small value difference between his third and fourth year Bowman card and then his Bowman RC or a Bowman rookie card.
Okay, so there will be like continuing just using Brennan Davis as an example, and this can apply to everybody.
Sure.
Let's say 99% to everybody, because I know there'll be some weird exceptions in baseball. But Brennan Davis has a 2018 Bowman first. That's going to be his most valuable set of cards because there's different variations of that card. Of course, that's going to be his most valuable set of cards. If you're buying one of those, you're usually in good shape. Then he's going to have, whenever he gets called up by the Cubs, there'll be a determination. And you're saying there will be a Bowman rookie card of Brennan Davis that will come out in the base Bowman paper and then the Bowman chrome later with the RC designation on it.
Yeah, I would say now I haven't seen the set list or the checklist of the Bowman that's going to come out this year, but I would assume that Bowman is going to assume. So I'm going to double assume here that that Bowman is going to put out their first rookie card of Brendan Davis this year. So he's right on the cusp of making the Cubs. The Cubs are kind of in a struggling situation in terms of finding players that are relevant. So I'm sure that Brendan Davis is going to come up at some point this year. So I would assume that Bowman is going to also assume that and make a rookie card. For instance, last year, there's a catcher for the Rangers, Sam Huff, that everybody thought that Sam Huff, he was like their number 2 prospect last year. Everybody thought Sam Huff was going to be the everyday starter in Texas as a catcher. Now, he ended up getting hurt in spring training and spent the rest of the season in the minor leagues. But his rookie card, his Bowman rookie card, actually came out last year. So Bowman came out with a rookie card section of Sam Huff, even though he never actually that wasn't, he didn't spend the year in Texas. So, but they kind of do that in expectation in some of the Bowman, which is kind of what I talked about earlier. They make some assumptions by putting some rookies and firsts out there that are going to be good. And then later on in the Topps Chrome section, they will put out kind of a more defined list. For instance, Sam Huff didn't have a rookie in the Topps Chrome because by that time they knew he was injured and was spending the rest of the time downstairs. So, but you will see, I would assume that you'll see a Brendan Davis rookie card coming out in this 2022.
Interesting. So then would we see a Brennan Davis rookie card for the Topps products as well? Like, is it common to have a rookie card for both brands in the same?
Yeah. So, Bowman is actually owned by Topps. A lot of people don't realize that. And Bowman is actually just a subset of Topps, which now are both a subset of Fanatics, which is, this is kind of it's kind of getting out of hand in terms of who owns what. But Bowman is just a distinction of a card set. But Topps also has Topps stuff specifically. You are looking for the rookie cards. So that is the RC logo in Topps. That is the card you're looking for in Topps or Topps Chrome. The cards you're looking for in Bowman are the ones that are a little bit before that. So
yeah,
you 100%
that's kind of how I got into it. Like
you 100% will see a Brendan Davis rookie card in the top set. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. I didn't realize that you could see a Bowman rookie and a Topps rookie in the same year, but I guess it makes sense that they would do that. I think you think of Bowman as the prospect card and Topps as the rookie card, but would a Bowman rookie card be worth more than a Topps rookie card in the same year? I know it probably depends on like Topps Chrome versus like Bowman paper and all that, but like generally, if you're going to compare apples to apples, like let's say just paper versus paper or Chrome versus Chrome, is the Bowman rookie card going to be worth more than the Topps rookie card all the time, or not necessarily?
So I don't have specific numbers on this, but just by knowing the industry and like looking at certain players and certain cards and like buying something here and there, the Topps rookie card is going to, I would assume, is going to be substantially more valuable than the Bowman's rookie card, because the reason why is because the collectors are different. It's two different perspectives on collecting, I believe. Now, this is something that I don't have factual data on, but just by going to card shows and knowing the people that know Bowman and then knowing the people who invest in Topps, usually the Topps guys are the guys that don't, they're probably multi-sport investors. Let's just say that. Like, they're not baseball only. They're not like dive in deep there. They're just like, okay, I collect football, basketball, and baseball, and I'm a Mavericks fan, a Rangers fan, and a Cowboys fan. And so primarily the other two sports, they only are about rookie cards. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go get a rookie card from a Topps product. And then I don't understand why this guy has minor league products that are valuable, because typically in the other sports, the college unis or something like that are not as valuable as their first rookie card. Now it's a little bit backwards in baseball. Their minor league cards are actually more valuable typically, depending on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, after a full year in like investing in sports cards from all different sports, I totally see how that makes sense. And I think it's a fair generalization where you collect multiple sports, you're going to go to the Topps brand because it's just more mainstream
it's
for
it's
all
it's more
collectors,
known.
all investors. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely more known. Whereas Bowman is definitely like the niche, like baseball guy, baseball gal. Like if you're baseball, you're going Bowman, and it's good to know you're going like first prospect card. Like that's the
Right.
card, that's the set of cards.
Yeah.
So okay, so let me ask you one more card specific question, and then I
Can I
want
actually go
to
back?
break
Can I
down.
actually go back
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Go for it.
so very quickly, I messed up on something I said. Um, I said
Yeah.
that there was 3 Bowman products. There's actually more than 3 that come out in the calendar year, but those are the big 3. Like those are the ones that really mean something. There actually is a Bowman Sapphire, I believe, that comes out as well, and that comes out like around July. And then there is a Bowman Heritage Edition, that is kind of based off of the Topps Heritage Edition, where they kind of do a throwback to an older year. And then there's like a Bowman Transcendent every other year or something like that. But those products are not. I would say they're definitely not sold in the same volume. So that's why I've typically just the deep investor just is looking at those top
Yeah.
3 products.
So those other products that you just mentioned, is it fair to say they don't really have the resale value that
Yeah,
the
they're
main Bowman products have?
yeah, I that's what I would. Now sometimes the Sapphire cards can look really cool, and so sometimes they do have some resale value depending on the actual design of the year. And just like in any set of any collection of any sport, there are definitely a few cards from every collection that are going to be worth money. Um, but
Yeah.
definitely not as much as not as much resale value, for instance, as those Bowman products.
Yeah, because they're not okay. I would assume because they're not as first prospect heavy potentially. They're
Yeah,
not like, and those are really the investable ones. So okay, so
it kind of seems like
now
a
let's talk
cash
about.
grab to me, but
Okay. Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, it's giving. Yeah, I think you could say it's a cash grab, or I think the companies themselves would probably make the argument. Well, we need to put out different things for different age groups of collectors, different,
right, yeah,
make different things more accessible. So they might be these might be the more collected products and not not, whereas this show is really more about investable products, like sifting through the collectible products and then really talking about the more investable products. Now, of course, there's a huge crossover just because probably the reason that something becomes investable is because of the collectability of it. So I understand like what I'm saying can contradict itself, but really like there's a lot of stuff that isn't investable because of the small market size of the collector. Whereas, the more the larger the market size, then that's when you really have an investable product. So we're really encouraging you all to focus on first Bowmans, and the main releases that Kendall you just talked about.
can show an example of like what the first logo looks like, because there's actually another first. So for instance, this
Mm-hmm.
card has 2 firsts. It has it in that top left corner. And then it also has this at the bottom here. So Bowman actually releases a very expensive, definitely don't invest in this product, but it's kind of releases a limited edition, which is called first edition Bowman first products. And that is actually it's released before the Bowman draft product. So I don't know why it's there, but it's released about a month before typical Bowman draft, and it's called first edition Bowman draft. And it's a lot of paper cards, but for instance, this paper Jordan Lawler with the first logo at the bottom is like I think it's like $30, and his Bowman first product paper is just like 15. So there might be a small distinction.
So
if
the
somebody
first is going to be okay. So the first is going to be more expensive than the second first.
Yeah, but I think it's only paper products, though. I think it's only paper in the Bowman first. I think. So,
Okay.
But it's always way too expensive for me to buy.
Firsthand, you're buying it in the secondary market.
Yeah.
Which leads me to this is a perfect segue to my next question. So how do you get these? Like, can the average person actually buy a box or a case of Bowman draft or Bowman? Like
that's a
and
great
I think
question.
I know the answer, but why don't you break this down?
The answer is depends. It depends on who you are.
Let's just say no. Let's just say no.
Yeah, depends on who you are. It depends on who your friends are, and it depends on if you do have a local card shop in your area that is baseball focused. I mean, I do know some card shops that they're so focused on other sports that they don't even get cases of Bowman stuff until later on. Like their clientele is not focused on it. But I know other shops that are like so focused on it, their entire calendar year is based around Bowman release. So the answer is your Bowman base product, that base product we talked about, is going to be your most accessible product because those blasters are going to be available on the retail market. So you're going to see, like if you're on Facebook pages,
you could go to Walmart potentially and get those.
Yeah. You can buy blasters of Bowman in that Bowman base product, and you can actually find the Bowman Chrome product in retail as well. They're not in blasters; they're kind of in mega boxes. So it's a little bit. It's like from that $30 to $40 range to like $60 to $75 range in the Chrome product. But the Bowman Draft, you can only find from either a hobby store or online, or if you're buying cases of it, but the typical way most people are getting their draft product is through breakers. So those breakers are going out and buying cases of stuff, and then you're buying slots of a specific team or a division or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just go ahead all right, let's wrap up the thing and then let's talk about breaking. So, all right. So you could call around to local card shops and you could potentially like develop a relationship with LCSs and reserve or just show up as they.
No, you can't show up.
They potentially get.
You have to reserve it.
Okay. You have to reserve it. Okay. So you reserve
like
it,
we
pre-ordered. And then,
we pre-ordered like 3 supers. So that's one of the largest boxes you can buy. It's like 5 guaranteed autos in the box, and there's like 1,000 cards or something like that. But that's like the big one or whatever. We pre-ordered those, and I think we pre-ordered them at the time for like, I don't know, maybe 700. And that was like 2 months before it came out. And now they're going for like over 1,000. And you can't find them anywhere because so many people have bought them, and it's a very hard product to find because when they do print it, they don't overprint it necessarily, but when they do it, it's only through local card shops it's releasing. There's not really like, you can't go buy a box online really. I mean, you can, but it's going to be, I mean, those secondary markets
you'd have to buy a case, right? Which, I mean, like you could, basically you have to have a distributor account in some way, shape, or form to get this product directly from the manufacturer. And that's just like not economical.
I mean, you definitely have to shell out a lot more money than normal.
Okay, so before we get into breaking, does anyone that you know, including yourself, buy a personal box of Bowman Draft?
Yes, that does happen.
Okay. And how much are they paying for like a personal box generally?
Most people, if they're buying a personal box, they're buying just a jumbo or a hobby. Now, Bowman this year, they started coming out with what's called a light box, which is definitely way more obtainable. That's like 150 to 250 range. And you're guaranteed, I think, or I don't think you're guaranteed an auto, But in this specific product, they started coming out with what's called a ray wave, I believe is what the color distinction is. Looks super cool. Like they definitely did a great job designing the card to make it something of appealing. That's a distinction difference. But most people, if they're big Bowman collectors and they want a box for themselves, they're going to buy a jumbo, which is between $400 and $600.
Okay.
And that's
that's cool.
that's guaranteed 3 autos.
Okay. And are you guaranteed an auto in the light? You might have just said this, but
no, you're not. But there is a likelihood that you will get one, but you're not guaranteed one. It's kind of like having a mega box from a Chrome product or something like that. It's there is a likelihood that there's going to be one in there, but you're definitely not guaranteed.
Okay, so now let's get into breaking. So the other day I actually messaged you in kind of just for fun, but also just kind of in preparation for the show to kind of get my mind around that. Like I was going to get into a break, but my fear was that I could get no cards. And it was I think a random 3-team break for maybe $50 for this Bowman draft product. It was actually through Star Stock, and they just started breaking. The breaking has been around for a long time, and Star Stock's not really one of the more well-known places to jump in a break. But
I didn't even know
I
they
just
did
kind of
breaks.
thought, okay, well, I think they just started it, and you can, like, I'm not recommending you break with Star Stock. So let's talk about breaks, because you have a breaking company, you and your partner, and what is like, give us an overview of the different kinds of breaks, and then maybe just tell us like which ones to avoid and why, and then which ones to like get into and why. And I know it'll depend on who you are and who you're collecting and all that, but just from a general investment, like speak to us from I don't care what team I'm collecting. I want to make money. I want to put $65 in, and I want my best chance at getting 65 or more dollars out of it. What are the ones to avoid and the ones to get into?
Yeah. So when I first started getting into cards, I hated the idea of breaking, because I was like, no, I want all the cards. I don't want, it felt like gambling to me, where I was like, oh, I'm just going to have a section or something like that of the product. And then I was like, no, half the fun is ripping the actual product myself. I don't want somebody else to rip it and then just send me the results. But now that I'm a little more experienced in the idea of investing and collecting rather than just collecting, breaks is definitely all I want to do, because I don't want all the unnecessary crap that comes with a box. I just want the cards that are valuable. And so there's a lot of breakers that are doing it a lot of different ways. And almost every breaker has its own flavor or own different, like, this is why you should choose us type thing that's going to make them competitively different in the market. And really, you kind of have to find one that you develop a relationship with. And just like any industry, relational aspects of it are definitely probably what keeps a customer coming back. So for instance, we have about probably 2,000 different people that have bought into our breaks at some point. But I would say generally we have about, now this is per sport, and we're kind of honing in on baseball specifically now, so it's a little bit different. But when we were doing everything, we probably had about 50 to 100 people that were return customers out of that 2,000. So it's like when you saw their name pop up, you knew a little bit about them. You knew which cards they were going for. And us as breakers, it's our job to kind of develop that community. So now some people don't want the community. They just want to see. Now there's some breakers that are just like flying through, just looking for the hits specifically. That's not necessarily how we do it at Wild Cards. We want it to be more educational experience, because we know a lot of these people are coming into the product or coming into the hobby either from a long hiatus, like me and you. We had a long hiatus in between when we were collecting before, and now we're recollecting, I guess, or reinvesting, or however you want to put that. A lot of these people that you're finding in the product or in the hobby nowadays are people that are either coming back or it's their first time into collecting. And so we like to have an educational experience rather than just being like, So like if this was a set here, they were just like, nope, 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 nope. Oh, that's a chrome. Okay, nope, 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 nope. And so
Yeah.
that's not necessarily how we do it, but that is how some breakers are doing it, to fly through a lot of product at the same time. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit on a rabbit trail here, but your general question was, how do you make money in breaks? And is it, why would you buy into a break? Why would you buy into a break is specifically you can hunt specific cards without spending, for instance, if you're going to buy a jumbo for yourself, you're going to spend $400 to $600 like we just talked about, but you're going to get so many cards that you don't necessarily care about. Now, there are some collectors out there that care about every single card. There's purists out there that are just like, that 7th year Fernando Tatis paper, I want it, and that is a card of value. For me, burn it. I don't care. Like, I don't want that card.
Yeah.
And so for me specifically, I'll give you my example of this past draft product. So the 21 draft product that came out in December, I am huge on Jordan Lawler. I spoke to that earlier. I never invest in the Diamondbacks, but because I know of Jordan Lawler and because I'm huge on him, I've been buying Diamondback slots in box breaks, and some of them have been pretty expensive. And I'm like, man, this is the most I've ever spent on a specific break slot. Actually, this past month, I spent more on one specific break spot than I've ever spent. And it paid off for me. I pulled a $750 card, which was awesome, but it could have not. And I was a little bit nervous about that. But
so can you share with us what you paid? Because I'm looking at the sold listings on eBay, and this is kind of where I'm thinking. It's almost like different flavors. If you want to be if you want the experience, and the virtual experience of like opening a pack and knowing if you want the entertainment and the experience of opening a pack, and with you guys at Wild Cards, like the education behind each card, which I think is phenomenal. I love that you guys do that. That's one thing. But if you're an investor, like I look at it and I'm like, well, I mean, it's no small amount of money, but if I really like Jordan Lawler, I could drop $300 on one of his first prospect chrome autos, right?
Yeah.
So then I look at like, well, what is a break spot? If I'm going to chase that, what is a break spot? Because if it's $100, that's three rolls of the dice. Or if it's $30, that's 10 rolls of the dice. So how many times do I have to roll the dice when I could just go try to bid and get outright one for $275 or $270? Yeah. Now some people go like, well, that's no fun, blah blah blah. But I actually think it's fun to bid on eBay. So,
me too.
So talk about that.
I think for me, the most fun part of card collecting, now I've done ripping, I've done breaking, I've done, going to the local card shop and trying to find a card. My favorite thing to do is get one of these bubble mailers in the mail and ripping it open and be like, this is my card that I've been expecting in the mail. Yeah. That is my most favorite thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I love the eBay experience. Now I know there's a whole lot of eBay problems, like of, sellers and buyers and all that kind of stuff. Generally, I've not gotten any of the situations that a lot of other people have gotten into in terms of all the crap that can go on there. But I love that. Wow, I completely lost. So what I paid for so I got into a break that was it was like a quarter case of jumbos. So I believe I think that's 2 boxes, I think. And I paid for 2 sections of it. So I actually got 4 boxes of this 8-case jumbos. And I got the Diamondbacks in that product, and I paid $175 for the entire thing. That was more money than I'd ever spent on a specific break. Now, I know there's breaks out there you can spend way more than that. I'm just saying my specific experience is I had not spent that much money, primarily because I'm a breaker. I don't like spending money at other breakers,
Right.
That's, but anyway,
You
Um,
love Jordan Lawler. You wanted to try to figure out how to get
yeah.
into a
So
break.
I
You didn't
went
know.
and I spent all of my card money for the month of December and some. I had to sell some cards actually to get enough money to get this, and I put it down on a Jordan Lawler, on my black, and
On
then
the
rolled the
yeah,
dice,
the roulette
and
wheel.
yeah, the roulette wheel. And 3 boxes in, I hit a Jordan Lawler auto, and I just was going nuts. I was actually working. So my day job is I drive a bus for the school system here, because the insurance is incredible, and I have a lot of middle time in the day to do a lot of card stuff, because I work from like 6 to 9 and then from 2 to 5. But this guy's specific break was at 2 p.m., which is such a strange break time. But that is another topic. And so I'm driving, and my friend T, who I actually own wild cards with, also had the Orioles in that slot, and the Orioles were like 300. So like he bought the Orioles, and they were like 300. And I'll tell you why the difference in that specific price difference in a second. But I'm driving this bus, and I'm driving a bus full of kids, like just full. So I can't get on my phone, that's like mega illegal. And
Yeah.
so my watch starts ringing. I have an Apple Watch, and so I'm like, I look down and it's T, and I'm like, oh man, if he's probably calling me to ask me a question about cards. And then I hang up, and he calls me again. And I'm like, oh no, either he hit an awesome card or I hit an awesome card in that break. And then I denied it again because obviously I'm in the bus. And then a text rolls by, and he goes, you just hit a monster. And I said, don't be playing with me. I will pull this bus over. But I did hit a monster in that break, and it was like my first big hit in a break. And that was really fun. So
That's awesome. Congratulations. It's an awesome card, and
it's on its way to
I
PSA
love.
now. So
Okay, actually, glad you mentioned that. How many of these do you recommend get graded? Like if you somehow get your hands on a rookie auto, do you automatically grade that, or is there a process that you go through to determine whether or not that's graded? And
well,
with someone like Lawler, like I think I know why you went to PSA, but just maybe for some listeners who may not know, walk us through why you went to PSA on that.
so I am also not a PSA only guy. There are a lot of those guys out there, and I think there is places in the hobby for other other graders. Now, if you're looking for top dollar, you're going to have to go PSA. But if you're looking at a price differential, PSA is not always the best answer. Now, they did just come back with their economy grading section. It's like $50 a card. That just went live last week, I think. But you have to have they're doing it off a subscription basis now, and you could probably speak more to that. But because I know that you've logged. From my experience of listening to you, it sounds like you have graded more cards than I have, just on assumption alone.
Yeah.
But but for instance, I know that SGC doesn't cost as much money, and actually, if you look at the difference between cost analysis and return, typically the percentages are actually pretty good comparatively, especially when PSA spiked its prices. But the reason I sent Jordan Lawler's out there is because it was a card that I 150% know that, okay, I spent $178 on the card, or $175 on the card because I bought it into that break slot. The card is worth $700. So I know I have margin already in the card. So I can send the card to PSA at $100 per card or whatever it was, and still have enough margin if it comes back at like a 9. But if it comes back at a 10, if it comes back at a 10 with a premium verified 10 auto, that card may be going for several thousand, and not in very much time either. Like that could be, in a month. Now, if he goes crazy if he has the same kind of minor league year like he had in the complex league last year, that card's going to be worth stinking a lot of money. Like if we look at Bobby Witt Jr.'s, his base auto 10s are going for almost $2,000. And I believe that Jordan Lawler has the capability and the athleticism to be a very, very, very high listed prospect in this game and move potentially very quickly. So yeah, I am super high on him. I'm super high on getting that card graded because I think that could be a card that goes bananas.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, so for me then, I mean, my personal preference would be to go buy, like bid on the Jordan Lawlers being listed on eBay right now, the autos, and then it's obviously like impossible to determine whether or not they would grade well on eBay. But I mean,
Yeah.
you can kind of see, like, is it going
Sometimes
to
you
be
can
worse than
tell.
an 8? Is it going to be an 8, 9, or 10? Is it going to be does it have a chance? Does it have a chance to be a 10? Is it more likely a 9? You can kind of tell those depending on the pictures and stuff. So I think that could be a play. All right, breaks to avoid. Like what are the price points on these Bowman releases, or the not being able to pick your team? Are there breaks that you would avoid, like whether it's random team break or the price point, like, or do you pretty much feel like the reputation of the breaker is maybe more important to look at? Like, how do you determine like which ones to kind of, because it's so overwhelming to me. I know you personally, and I know, like, if I'm going to do a break, I'm going to come to you guys first for sure. But like, and that's why I asked you about Star Stock, because I'm like, is this even? I just have money in my Star Stock account. It wasn't
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but
Let's use
like,
that as an
but like
example.
with breakers, like, how do
Yeah.
you weed out the ones like?
Um, it's a complicated question because you kind of have to know what your specific need is in terms of getting the card. Are you just there for the experience? Are you just wanting to buy cards, or are you specifically hunting for a specific guy? If you're hunting for a specific guy, I would go case breaks because you're definitely going to pay more for sure, but case breaks definitely have more possibility of hitting not only a base auto, but potentially a couple of base autos. What I don't like is I don't like buying into specific one hobby box breaks or something. And I think we actually do a lot of those at Wildcards specifically because the clientele that we have is kind of on a lower price point. So we try to make it more available for the lower price point. But if you're actually, if you're an investor and you can put up between, $100 to $400 for looking for a specific guy, now that's obviously a specific person and a specific passion for sports cards. But if you really want to make money in this, I would say you start trying to collect a little nest egg around $100 to $500 and start buying a couple of bigger breaks, because your chances of hitting more autos are really a lot higher. My specific situation is, okay, I knew that I was investing $175 into that. It was like a half case break for me. It was a half case break and I was hunting Jordan Lawler. So if I just got a base Jordan Lawler auto, just one, then I knew it was going to be around $200 to $300. So I knew that I was going to get my money back. Now, I also knew that there's also going to be Jordan Lawler papers in that product also. And the Jordan Lawler firsts are going for about $20. And so I was like, okay, well, I could either, if I hit one auto, I get my money back. If I hit anything better than a base auto, I'm definitely in the green. But also there's a good chance of me recouping a lot of my investment by getting some of those Bowman firsts that also will sell, even though they're not autos. So a really big distinction, which also is a good example for your $50 Star Stock example, is they weren't giving you base cards. They were only giving you hits.
The hits,
I don't like that kind of break, specifically because the base cards actually, you can actually make a lot of your investment back if you're willing to hustle and sell those base cards. And so, especially if you're buying the right team, like for instance, Seattle Mariners right now. So here's a little nugget that you can take with you. Teams that are undervalued right now in draft product are the Mariners, the Nationals. Even though they're very expensive, I do think the Orioles are undervalued. Those three teams, I would say, definitely go out and get them, because in the Orioles, they have all of their prospects all of their prospects that are in the product are selling really well. So their first round guy is selling well. Their second round guy is selling really well. I mean, that's a good team of prospects that you could get. So you're actually going to get good value across the board. The Mariners specifically, Ford is going for good money right now. And he's kind of a guy that is kind of have a little bit of a cult following. Like he has there's a lot of hype around the Mariners right now. They have a super good farm system. So if you're going to pull any like second year autos or second year cards out of, or not second year, but post first year products of Kelenic or Julio Rodriguez, those are also going to sell. So that's undervalued product right there. But Nationals, they have a guy named TJ White, who is actually a 5th round guy. So he was 5th round in the draft, but he has an auto in this product and TJ White he's a guy that I definitely go look for. Definitely go look for a TJ White auto. But if you're going to buy the Nationals, they're like lower, they're like probably half to maybe 3/4 down the list in terms of pricing. The Nationals are a product that if you pull a TJ White auto, you're definitely going to make your money back. And so, but another thing is don't always just go buy the cheapest spot in a break either. Because obviously the Astros are the cheapest in this break. Or no way, I think the Indians are the cheapest in this break. Or Guardians, sorry. Specifically because the Guardians, I think they only drafted pitchers.
All
year.
pitchers except for 2, yeah.
Yeah, so pitchers
Holy
just
crap.
don't have a lot of value in Bowman product. It's kind of like, getting so it's kind of like in football where it's pretty much the football cards are not football cards. It's quarterback cards. That's what it is. If you get anybody outside
it'd
of
be
a
like if a team
right.
drafted all offensive linemen or all defensive players.
Yeah, it's like
when you don't want them.
I bought into a lot of Browns breaks a couple of years ago, and I just got tons of Jedrick Willis cards, which is an offensive lineman. He's drafted in the first round, and he's great, but his cards have no value.
Yeah.
So
no value. Value.
So don't buy into the Guardians break spot.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's good advice. Now I'm looking. All right, I got another quick question for you on the Bowman front, and this is maybe another Bowman for Dummies question. Well, before we get to this, just define a hit. Like, what is a hit? Because we said that a minute ago that they only give you the hits. I think I know what they are. I think they're numbered cards, they're autos. Of course, numbered autos, like maybe a variation, maybe a chrome, but I don't really even know what a hit is. Is there a definition of a hit, or does the breaker just determine what
it's a loose definition? But typically when people in Bowman specifically, when they say hits only, what that means is first chrome cards, the first papers maybe of like for instance, if you got a Jordan Lawler first paper, they'd probably send you that. But they're not going to send you for instance, if you bought the Mariners, and what I said earlier about the Mariners being undervalued because Ford is valuable, but you also have the opportunity to pick up a Kelenic or a Julio Rodriguez. If they were not sending you hits, they would not send you the guys that are second, third year, those kind of guys, unless they were numbered, autoed, chrome, stuff like that. So a hit for a Bowman product would be a first, definitely any autos, definitely any numbered. Your inserts are probably not going to get sent to you unless they're refractor inserts or numbered inserts, which even still are not really that valuable. They look cool, but they're not necessarily valuable, which I struggle with that. I think the coolest looking cards should be the most valuable. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox there.
Well, speaking of cool looking cards, and this leads to a question. I'm looking at a cool looking Dylan Dingler auto.
Dude, I love Dylan Dingler.
It's a Dylan Dingler. So I think I might have told you this, but my dad is a huge Tigers fan, and he called me last year when he saw that I was really back into buying sports cards as investments, and he said, you got to go Dylan Dingler. And he just went on. Yes. He started sending me articles about Dylan Dingler, and I was like, okay, got it, thank you. And the first thing I did was I bought 5 Star Stock A's of his Bowman first Chrome card.
Nice.
Which
Do
I
you
don't
know what you
know how
paid
they're
for
gonna
them?
do, but I could tell you. And so they're 2020. So
Okay.
this looks like this would have been in the draft set from that year. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Uh-huh.
Would that have been in the Bowman draft? Okay, I
Yeah.
can tell you what I paid. Going back to the summer
Because
when
you
I
bought
bought
them
it,
a
which I
couple of
probably
years ago,
bought it at
right?
the wrong. Yeah, I bought. Okay, so $1.75 a piece.
Wow.
In
Okay.
Star Stock. Now, in Star Stock right now, and this is a beef that I actually really have with Star Stock, that it's not the best marketplace to sell your cards because
Yeah.
there's 143 of them for sale for $1.50 right now, and there's 30 offers for $1. So, but if I were to go on eBay, the average sale of those cards might be significantly higher. Sometimes with the marketplace on Star Stock, it doesn't always like you can get potentially good deals, but then or you can send your really good cards in, but then it's like hard to actually sell it for a profit versus like listing it on eBay. So
Yeah. Yeah, on
I don't know
eBay,
what
for
the
instance,
Dylan
one
Dingler.
yesterday sold for just one Chrome Dingler sold for $450 plus $450 shipping.
Okay.
So that's $9.
So yeah, like yeah, so that's where I don't really love. I mean, it's great that I have these and I can have them shipped to me if I want to, and then I can make a little bit more. A play with these cards would be like have them shipped to me, look at the condition of them. If I feel like they could 10, if send them to probably SGC, and then maybe get a gem on some of them. I don't know, but then so that's 2020, and then I'm looking at another card that I bought off somebody on Instagram who seemed like a really nice guy, and he had some good
You
cards.
bought
So I
a
bought a
card off
bunch of cards
Instagram.
from.
That's cool.
I bought a
You don't
bunch of
hear that
cards from
often.
this guy. I know, right? And so I bought like 2 Donovan Mitchell rookies, 3 Karl Anthony Towns rookies, a bunch of stuff off this guy, and then I just picked out a Dylan Dingler, and I was like, I gave him like a bulk price, and I was like, I want the Dingler in there too, and so
I'm
really
sure he
kind
was
of
like,
didn't
"What?"
pay anything for this Dylan Dingler. Like it's let's call it a couple dollars. I don't know. But it's in my PWCC vault, and they have it insured for $20, which usually means for those
That's
of you
more.
out there who don't understand PWCC, the insured value of the card, typically you can sell that for like 3 times the insured value
Yeah.
in an eBay auction. So they have an insured value of $20. So could this be a
What is it?
$60 card? I don't know. It's a
Pull it back a little bit. Okay, there we go. Okay. So it's out of 150. It says the True Blue Mojo. Okay. The True Blue actually, yeah, you're good. The True Blue is one of the most like sought after cards in typically any auto. For some reason, people love that True Blue.
okay.
But one sold for yesterday for $20 on eBay.
Okay.
But this is a good example of having a second year auto. So this is not his first Bowman card, but it is a Dylan Dingler auto, which obviously does have value. Like I would say like a $20 auto is great to own, especially
$20. Yeah, I'm happy about that.
Especially if you bought it for $1. And in fact, Dylan Dingler actually is a little bit kind of unheard of right now because his value is a little bit probably lower than it could be if he was on another team because of Torque and Riley and all the speculation around is the Tigers ever going to be good again? Like people are kind of just low on the Tigers right now. Maybe not so much right now as in the past couple of years, but I could say like if Dingler was like on a different club, for instance, if he was a Dodger or something like that, his card would be a lot more valuable. But I like Dingler. I think his offensive numbers are good. I wouldn't say he's my favorite catcher right now in the minor leagues, but definitely probably my third, fourth guy in the Tigers system. And that's not saying so if you're the third or fourth guy in some systems, you're irrelevant. If you're the third or fourth guy in the minor leagues right now in the Tigers system, you probably still have a lot to to bring to the table, considering the first two guys are probably all-stars,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's a good card,
Yeah.
especially if you got it for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where like I thought I was maybe getting a first auto, and I didn't really like,
Yeah.
because it was part of this bulk deal and this weird sort of Instagram transaction where I'd wanted to kind of test out. I just kind of said throw it in there, and then when I got it though, I was like, well, shoot, it doesn't appear to be like a first auto, so I'm not really sure what I did here, but um, but it's good to know. It sounds kind of like I dodged a bullet. A, I didn't really pay that much for it. B, it is like this Mojo auto, and that's probably the reason why it's going for more than just a few dollars. But there's always the chance we know that like if Dylan Dingler ends up having a successful major league career, then that's another factor. But because it's not the first auto, I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I mean, it sold for $20 5 days ago, and the whole hobby is down right now too. So, I mean, when baseball picks up, you put that on a line for $30-$40, potentially it can sell. As soon as baseball starts, for instance, I've used this whole offseason to buy into a lot of players that I like. I've bought into a ton of players in between the $5 and $20 range. Just some names that I've bought are Gabriel Moreno, Brian Rocchio, Jared Triolo, Greg Jones, Joe Perez. These are guys that I bought for between $5 and $30 autos. And I'm buying right now, expecting in March and April, when people are really getting into the product again, I expect to make at least a 20% return on all of those. So I would say, like, if you do want to go and try to get a first Dylan Dingler auto, the best move is if you have a little nest egg, go buy one right now and then buy the first right now, but sell the second one to recoup some of that investment when if spring training starts, or whenever the season starts, or whatever that, as soon as baseball gets back going, people are going to be like, I need some baseball cards,
So are we in a extended baseball buy period right now because it's late January, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. That's good to know. That could be, I mean, I think we've nailed the Bowman release and the strategy around what to do and what not to do with Bowman. I think this was a phenomenal episode, and credit to you. And I think that a big takeaway is this is an extended baseball buy period right now, where if you're even a novice and you listen to this episode and you're like, okay, Bowman first, autos, Mojo, different organizations, down a little bit right now, knowing that I remember last year, like when baseball when it was like March, it was just off the hook. March and April were just off the hook. Like, usually I could not believe training, the pricing.
Usually spring training is freaking nuts in the card industry. Like, I will be surprised if I can hold on to almost any of my baseball cards in spring training, because I'll be like, man, I don't want to sell that card, but if you're going to pay me 300% over what I bought it for, okay. And so are you making
money? Are you making enough profit at that point in the year to feel sort of like, okay, this isn't my full-time job, but it's like a nice little extra bit of cash to like keep, is it funding your card purchases for the rest of the year, or is it more than that? Or is it like, I don't know. I'm just trying to get so the listeners can kind of understand like what the opportunity is.
Yeah. Every year I get a little bit better at it. And so like this year I expect to have more than just a return to pay for more cards. Last year I pretty much went even. I kind of was pretty much like, okay, some of my cards that I was big on, I got really, maybe not lucky. for those of you guys that are listening, I have a background in prospecting, I guess, if that makes sense. So like I'm also into cards, but I also have this background, and I'm attached to this organization called justbaseball.com that scouts minor leaguers, which is why like I particularly like investing in Bowman, because I typically get in before anybody knows about the guys when I've seen their stats and their exit velocities and all this kind of stuff. So like if I'm giving you guys, you're like, I've never heard of that guy, that's probably a good thing. For instance, I bought an O'Neill Cruz card the other day from a guy. I actually didn't even buy it from him. He sent it to me for free because I said, hey, do you have any O'Neill Cruz firsts? I'm looking for them. And I didn't tell him this, but they're like $25 to $30 a piece because this guy's a stud. His exit velocities are like Giancarlo Stanton exit velocities. And you can't teach that. But he's like, I've never heard of O'Neill Cruz. Why do you always send me these names I've never heard of? And he was like, I'll just give it to you for free. This guy's a chump. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He's definitely going to be on the Pirates this year, and he's definitely going to be worth more than $25. And the guy just sent it to me for free. But anyway, last year I made a really good play of buying a ton of Shoheis before the season. And I was just like, I know he's coming off of an injury. I know he's coming off of surgery. People aren't for sure whether he's going to be able to last as a two-way player. And I really, really believed in Shohei. I said it in my podcast actually last February. I was like, this guy's going to be an MVP. Like, he is going to be the best player and most catalytic player in baseball. I believe it. And it happened. And I wouldn't say really lucky. And I did a lot of research to get to that point. But that one hit for me. And I rolled all of those profits into more prospects. But this year, what I'm looking to do is roll into more prospects, but also take money off the top to feed my family, you know? And I think that's where it becomes a different distinction for me. Like last year I was playing the game. This year I want to win in the game, I guess, if that makes sense. So, and going forward, sure. I want to be able to do this potentially as a job, you know, and not have to drive a bus, you know? So.
Yeah, man, that's why I think we linked up, because you have that ability, and you know, you've made that call with Shohei, and you're making it with others, and I know you're gonna win the game and kind of live that dream of being able to put your player prospecting talents to good use and making some money on cards and hopefully turning it into the career. And that's what I'm looking to do, really more from the basketball, where you have the confidence on the baseball side because of your background. I have the confidence on my side because of the basketball and somewhat football background.
Dude, did you watch the Pistons game last night?
No, I did not. And on the way, I might have to. The way that I have to watch basketball, as you well know, is I do have to watch it the next day and the replay. So.
Well, did I just ruin it for you? Were you like waiting?
No. I actually part of my morning routine is to get up and go to the NBA app and look at all the box scores and just read all the box scores. But I haven't done that today. So
now I don't necessarily tune into Pistons games. Sorry, man. Like Cade Cunningham doesn't really do it for me. But I love Sadiq Bey. Like that dude is a beast. Okay. And last night in the fourth quarter, dude, everything he touched was turning into gold. I was like, my gosh, Sadiq Bey was going off in the fourth quarter. And I think at one point the spread was pretty ridiculous. So if you put money on the spread like halfway through the game on the Detroit Pistons, like you got your money's worth because they fought the Nuggets all the way to the end. And for a 5-win team or something like that, or however, I don't know where they're at, you know, like, but for a team
I think they've got double-digit wins, but that's okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to just completely.
I think they barely have double-digit wins. No,
I didn't mean to completely flame you right there, but I thought it was a great game. The Nuggets ended up winning because obviously they have the MVP on their team, but but man, it was so competitive. Definitely, if you're gonna watch anything from last night, watch that fourth quarter because it was something special. I liked it. Sadiq Bey actually ended up stepping on on the line for he was on a 3-pointer. I believe it was Austin Rivers came out to defend him and kind of came off a screen weird, and he had to kind of dodge him from getting hit, and he actually stepped on the out of bounds line, and that kind of cost the game for the Pistons. But they were right there in it. They were in it all the way to the end, and man, it was a fun game to watch for the average consumer.
So there's a guy that did not play last night for Denver that is a sleeper that I have, Bones Highland. I believe that Bones Highland, he's a rookie this year, and he was Denver's first round pick, so he's a late first round pick.
Where'd he go?
But I've had some, I think 20th.
No, I mean where'd he go to college?
Between 20. Bones Highland. Where did he go to college? I'm gonna pull it up right now.
Bones. I love the name.
Yeah, his name is Nashawn, but he goes by Bones.
Is he real skinny?
Bones Highland. Yeah, he's super skinny.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. He didn't play last night, so I don't know why, but he's been playing really well this year. He is a 6'2" guard from Virginia Commonwealth, taken with the 26th overall pick.
ECU.
He's averaging 8.5 points.
That's awesome.
The talk around the league is that Denver needs a number 2 and a number 3 guy behind Jokic. And, of course, Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray are out with injuries. And so they've traded for my guy Bryn Forbes. He's my guy from Michigan State.
I like
That's where
Forbes.
I went to college. So they traded for Forbes, but I think Nashawn Bones Highland could be a guy 2-3 years from now where we're just like, well, yeah, of course. He's
Bones.
One of the top guys.
He's my guy.
Of course, Bones.
I've been in all the way since VCU days, baby.
He could be a household name, so look out for him. But
that's awesome.
Good work today, Kendall. It's great having you on as my co-host. We're gonna do this more often. We talked about it, so
yeah.
So we can.
Sorry, this is like an hour and a half long.
We can talk for a couple hours. I'm good with it. I mean, I like to have a long form show, so it's.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could have gone for another hour and a half, So
I could, but my family's about to walk in the door, and I really have to pee. So I think we might need to wrap this up. But
yeah, man, I think if I can.
So next time you come on, we got a lot of other topics, though.
Yeah, I mean, I love doing this. And like we said, I come from a prospecting background. So typically the names that I'm looking for are the under 15, really my sweet spot is under $30 autos. That's kind of where I swing the biggest and where I probably get the most hits. Now, obviously in that range, you also get guys that aren't really amount to much, but I'd rather do that than pay potentially $300 or $400 for a guy and get 200 back. I'd rather lose $30.
Same here. I mean,
by
putting the two of us together, you're going to have the multiple sports because I'm looking at you. I'm invested in some Austin Shenton because of you.
Yeah, baby.
And there's some other guys that I'm probably going to buy because of you. And then, so the listeners are going to get the baseball expert here. And I know you know your stuff when it comes to the other sports too. But I mean, I will say that I've made some money off of Desmond Bain rookie autos this year. I've made some money off of Tyrese Maxey. And I'm about to make some money off DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter is the guy I bought 2 of his rookie patch autos in the fall for $75
Dude, I actually sold
each.
Every other thing I have other than baseball this month. So I used to collect all 3 sports, and I got out of everything other than my PC players. Like guys that so for instance, I'm a Thunder fan. So I kept Pokashevsky. I kept Theo Malton.
So you're a big Josh Giddey guy then. You got to be pumped
huge Giddey guy. Huge Giddey guy. Actually, I bought into one break this year of basketball. I bought into one break, and I got a Giddey RPA, and I was just, let's freaking go.
Is it NBA hoops?
No, it was his. It was the college
or Australia uniform, whatever he played with in Australia. Yeah,
but that's
sweet, man.
Just that's all I need. I just needed a Giddey card.
He's legit. He's legit. I was playing my son in 2K the other day. So my son whoops me in every video game except for 2K. I whoop him all the time. He's 12.
Let's go.
And I just like talk so much shit. And so I'm whooping him with every team. We just go through the league, and every team, doesn't matter who he is, doesn't matter who I am. So I go, all right, next game, I'm being the Thunder. They've got 2 guys that can do anything in that game. That's actually 1.5, because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is 1, and it's half a Giddey, and that's it. And Giddey's like half a player in that game. He should be,
which is
should
unfair.
be better than he is in that game. But
there is definitely better Thunder players than they make it in 2K. I've played 2K myself, and I'm a Thunder fan, so obviously I play as the Thunder. But there are some better players than 2K makes it out to be on the.
So I put Poku in there, and Poku's just, I'm like, oh, I'll put Pokuševski in there. Dude's so slow, man. He was hard to play
sucks in
with,
the game.
Yeah, he needs to be better in that game. But anyway, so Giddey. So anyway, my point of this story is I kept yelling in my son's face, "Giddy up! Giddy up!" Like in his face. It was like, "Josh, giddy up!" And so I had him rolling. Baby.
That's awesome.
He thinks everything I say is stupid, but he was rolling at that one. So
that's good. Well,
all right, brother. Well, hey,
I love it.
Great having you on as the co-host. We're going to keep doing this. I'm going to give the outro. Sports Card Strategy Show brought to you by nooffseason.com and Wild Cards Box Breaks today, and justbaseball.com today because of Kendall. They're awesome places. Go check them out. And thank you to our sponsor, marketmoversapp.com by Sports Card Investor. Please go there and save 20% by using the promo code NOOFFSEASON. It helps me out. And one other thing, Kendall, you didn't reply to my email. It's okay. You got multiple jobs. It's fine. But we have just launched our affiliate program at nooffseason.com for the Sports Card Investment Report. You all of you listeners, all of you watchers of the show, you can earn money. I'm going to give you money. All you have to do is go to nooffseason.com/affiliates. Sign up for the affiliate program, and you'll understand how you can get 30%. I'm giving you 30% of our revenue for listening to the show. You just got to sign up, nooffseason.com/affiliates.
I'll sign up. I didn't read the email, but I will.
Thanks again, man. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, brother.
Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for being on the show.
Giddy up, baby.
Giddy up!